New York, 1898. In the beating heart of Manhattan, the capital of the Electric Age, the ground begins to shake. This is not a natural tremor coming from the bowels of the earth. It is rhythmic, methodical, industrial. It begins as a vibration, then becomes a convulsion. On the streets, panic. People feel the steel skeletons of the new skyscrapers groan. The police, believing it to be an earthquake, break down the door of the laboratory from which the epicenter seems to emanate at number 46 East Houston Street. The door bursts open with a crash. Inside, amidst the chaos of broken glass and vibrating equipment, they find Nikola Tesla, calm, unperturbed, a ghost in his own machine, standing next to a steel pillar in the center of the lab where a small device no bigger than an alarm clock is attached, vibrating furiously. Tesla, without a word, picks up a sledgehammer. With a single precise blow, he destroys the device. The tremor stops instantly. Absolute silence, broken only by the sound of shattered glass on the floor. A single man with a pocket-sized device nearly brought down an entire city block. He didn't use explosives, he didn't use brute force, he used rhythm. Nikola Tesla had just proven he could create an artificial earthquake, and in the same instant, he destroyed the proof. The question that his lost diaries might answer is, why? Before we open the diaries and enter the mind of the genius, a question that haunted him his entire life. Is their knowledge too dangerous for humanity? Comment yes or no below. Your answer is the threshold we're about to cross together. To understand the machine, we must understand the man. Nikola Tesla was no ordinary inventor. He was a visionary, a poet of electricity, a man who seemed to have one foot in this world and the other in a reality of pure energy. Born during a lightning storm in Croatia in 1856, his life was marked by extremes. While Thomas Edison, his great rival, built an empire on tenacity, brute force experimentation, and selling light bulbs, Tesla operated on a different plane. He dreamed of giving free energy to the world, of liberating humanity from the tyranny of manual labor. He saw the Earth not as a dead rock, but as a living organism, a gigantic spherical conductor pulsing with energies we could learn to harness. He was a man of astonishing contradictions, a genius who could visualize entire inventions in his mind with photographic perfection, yet was tormented by visions of blinding light, germophobia, and a series of obsessive compulsions. A showman who dazzled audiences with million-volt electrical arcs passing through his body, yet preferred the company of pigeons to that of humans. He won the war of the currents against Edison, proving the superiority of the alternating current that powers our world today. But his greatest ambition was not to light up homes. It was to set humanity free. And for that, he needed to master the secret language of the universe, the language of vibration. To understand Tesla's weapon, one must understand the most elegant and terrifying magic in physics, harmonic resonance. This is not the Tacoma Narrows Bridge being destroyed by a storm. It is being destroyed by a breeze, a steady breeze that by chance found the bridge's natural resonant frequency. Every object in the universe, from a wine glass to a skyscraper, from a planet to a DNA molecule, has a natural frequency at which it prefers to vibrate, its secret note. If you apply energy, even a tiny amount, at that exact frequency, the energy does not dissipate. It accumulates. Each pulse adds to the previous one, amplifying the vibration exponentially until the energy can destroy the object. It doesn't need immense force to destroy something. You just need to know its secret frequency and have rhythm. Legends of armies breaking step when crossing bridges are not just legends. They are precautions based on this unforgiving law of physics. Tesla did not invent this law. He decoded it, and he turned it into a weapon. The pages of his diaries smell of dust and ozone. They reveal the mind of a man who didn't think in words, but in frequencies, in vibrations. And here, among diagrams of turbines and plans for radio, we find it, the electromechanical oscillator. The beauty of the machine was its terrifying simplicity, a piston driven by steam or compressed air housed within a cylinder. But instead of turning a wheel, the piston's sole function was to move up and down, creating a rhythmic pulse. Tesla could tune the frequency of these pulses with the precision of 1/100th of a second. By attaching the device to a steel pillar in his lab, he began to increase the frequency, pulse by pulse, searching for the building's secret note. He describes in his notes, "I was experimenting with vibrations. I slowly increased the frequency. Suddenly, the whole building began to tremble and creak. I ran out into the street. Moments later, I saw police and ambulances arriving. I told my assistants to say it was an earthquake. It was the funniest thing I ever saw." But the amusement gave way to terror when he realized what he had discovered. With that small device, he could find the resonant frequency of anything, a building, a bridge, a rock formation, or even the planet itself. Tesla's vision of a world powered by resonance didn't just threaten bridges, it threatened empires. To build his dream, Tesla needed a patron, and he found the most powerful of them all, the financier J.P. Morgan, the man who was literally building modern America. Morgan invested in Tesla, believing he was funding a wireless communication system that could surpass Marconi's. But he didn't understand the true scale of Tesla's vision. Morgan's empire was an empire of physical things, of copper for the wires, of coal for the power plants, of railways to transport it all. It was an empire where every kilowatt of energy could be metered and billed. Tesla's idea of drawing energy from the planet itself and transmitting it wirelessly was not just revolutionary, it was existential heresy. It was an existential threat to the entire system Morgan represented. With Morgan's funding, Tesla began his magnum opus, the Wardenclyffe Tower. Officially, it was for wireless radio and energy transmission. Tesla envisioned a world where anyone, anywhere on the globe, with a simple receiver, could have access to clean, unlimited energy. News, stock quotes, personal messages, all traveling instantly across the world. It was a technological utopia. But the tower had a dual, deeper purpose, which perhaps not even Morgan knew. If the oscillator was a source of the pulse, the note, the Wardenclyffe Tower was the amplifier. And not just any amplifier. It was an amplifier designed to tune not the air, but the Earth's crust itself. Tesla planned to use the planet as a gigantic resonant conductor, turning the Earth into his personal instrument. The tower wasn't meant to transmit free electricity. It was meant to tune the planet. Tesla was about to become the conductor of Earth's symphony, capable of generating energy at any point on the globe, or of creating an earthquake. If you understand the magnitude of what was lost or prevented, subscribe to the Codex now. Because the next step of the investigation takes us from a lab in New York to a mysterious explosion that devastated the depths of Siberia. In his diaries and interviews, Tesla described the two main applications of his science of resonance, and both were terrifying. The first was seismic. By finding the resonant frequency of the Earth's crust, he believed he could split the planet in two. The hyperbole of an eccentric genius? Perhaps. Or perhaps an honest admission of a power he could barely comprehend. With his oscillator, he could start a tremor in New York that, amplified by the Earth, could manifest as a devastating earthquake at any other point on the globe. The second application was atmospheric. He told friends he had developed a terrible new weapon. If the oscillator was the seismic application of his science of resonance, the tower allowed for the atmospheric application, a focused energy transmission, the so-called death ray, capable of destroying fleets of airplanes 250 miles away. Both were different faces of the same revolutionary technology, the control of resonance on a planetary scale. He didn't need a small test. He would need a test in a remote, unpopulated location where he could measure the effect of a global-scale energy transmission. On the morning of June 30th, 1908, in a remote region of Siberia near the Tunguska River, the sky split open. An explosion, estimated to be 1,000 times the force of the Hiroshima bomb, flattened over 2,000 square kilometers of forest. The shock wave circled the globe twice. Witnesses hundreds of kilometers away were knocked off their feet. For days, the night skies of Europe glowed with a strange light. The official history calls it the Tunguska event and attributes it to a meteor or comet that exploded in the atmosphere. It's a neat theory, but it has a problem. No impact crater has ever been found. No significant amount of meteorite fragments. It is one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. A perfect crime with no murder weapon. Now for the impossible coincidence. Around the same time, Nikola Tesla was conducting his most secret and powerful experiments at Wardenclyffe. Although his main funding had been cut, he continued to run tests, often at night. He was desperate to prove his technology worked. In a letter, he mentioned he could easily light up the sky over the ocean and was planning a demonstration for an expedition to the North Pole. Tunguska lies on a geodesic path from Wardenclyffe that passes near the North Pole. We are not stating it as fact. We are presenting the pieces of a puzzle. On one side, an explosion with no known cause. On the other, a genius with the means, the motive, and the opportunity to create exactly such an effect. Could Tesla, in an attempt to prove his theory, have accidentally or deliberately unleashed a wave of harmonic resonance that focused and discharged over Tunguska? Had he proven his theory and been terrified by the result? After 1908 and the subsequent dismantling of Wardenclyffe, Tesla became a more reclusive and paranoid figure. The man who wanted to give free energy to the world had seen his creation potentially transform into a weapon of mass destruction. He spent the rest of his life offering his ray weapons to various governments, perhaps in a desperate attempt to be taken seriously again, or perhaps as a veiled warning of what was possible. In the end, the great inventor died poor and alone in a room at the New Yorker Hotel in 1943. Before his body was even cold, FBI agents, under the order of the Office of Alien Property, confiscated all his research, decades of work, notebooks filled with equations and diagrams. His secrets were locked away in government vaults, classified as top secret. The official justification was to prevent the technology from falling into Axis hands during World War II, but the files have never been fully released. We will never know for sure if Tesla destroyed his greatest invention out of fear of what it could do, or if men with fewer scruples and more power stole it for themselves. Tesla's silence is, perhaps, his loudest warning to us, a warning that echoes today in debates and theories about modern projects like HAARP in Alaska, which uses vast antenna arrays to, officially, study the ionosphere. Are they just studying the weather, or are they secretly trying to replicate the power that Tesla so greatly feared? The ghost of Wardenclyffe still looms over us, a reminder that the line between utopia and annihilation is at times just a matter of frequency. Tesla's diaries may be lost or locked away, but the search for forbidden knowledge never ends. His story is a reminder that sometimes the greatest secrets are not buried by ancient civilizations, but by modern governments. What other inventor or scientist do you believe hides a secret that could change the world? Philo Farnsworth? Royal Rife? Leave your candidate in the comments. Your suggestion could become the next page in our Codex.